Okay, we are live.
All right, thank you so much. Good afternoon and welcome to our press conference. My name is Lorena Diaz and I am the Regional Community Organizer at the ACLU of Maryland and member of the Baltimore County Coalition for Police Accountability. Tomorrow, May 26th at 10 a.m., the Baltimore County Council plans to vote on Bill 2422, establishing the Police Accountability Board as mandated by state legislation HB 670. We are holding a press conference today as the Baltimore County Coalition for Police Accountability, BCCPA, a community coalition of 11 plus member organizations, because we are concerned that the council plans to adopt Bill 2422 with harmful amendments that continue to center law enforcement while excluding directly impacted and over-policed communities from this process. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague and co-MC, Leanna Harrison.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leanna Harrison. I'm the Research and Policy Analyst with CASA in Baltimore and Central Maryland, and a member of the Baltimore County Coalition for Police Accountability. Some of our Baltimore County Coalition members, Erica McDonald, Lisa Barkin, Naisha McCoy, Ryan Coleman, Roland Patterson, and our colleague from the Anne Arundel County Coalition for Police Accountability, Stephen Waddy, will speak on the coalition's demands and sound the alarm on the harmful amendments that were introduced by the council. Today, we're live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter from the ACLU of Maryland's account. We ask that you keep yourselves muted if you're not speaking. We'll have time for Q&A towards the end and share out the coalition's demands and toolkit. And with that, we'll start with our first speaker. We have Erica McDonald, co-president of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy.
Thank you, Leanna. Good afternoon. Democracy depends upon informed and active participation in government. Over the past 10 months, residents of Baltimore County have had to fight for transparency and inclusion in the creation of a new police accountability process. The Police Accountability Bill has been developed behind closed doors and in under 2 months and does not reflect what the community wants. Since last summer, advocates in Baltimore County requested information on the Police Accountability Bill, but received no response until February. That is, no response for 7 months. The bill was finally introduced on April 4th, just 2 days before 2 public forums were held, the only 2 that have been held. And the County Council did not share the amended bill with residents until the day of their work session on May 17th, giving the public just hours to review and respond. By voting just 1 week after releasing the amendments, the Council has given the public no opportunity to express their concerns about the amended bill. Behind closed doors, the council met with law enforcement and the Fraternal Order of Police. The amendments to the bill reflect the desire of the FOP, not the desire of residents of Baltimore County. Democratic government also requires that people of color have equal protection under the law. But the truth is that Baltimore County has a long history of systemic inequality, which includes racially biased policing and brutality. Baltimore County Police kill more than 66% of departments nationwide. They kill more unarmed people than 79% of departments. And they arrest Black people at 2.7 times more for low-level and nonviolent offenses. The police misconduct disproportionately impacts people of color. In 2021, 67% of use of force incidents involved people of color, who make up only 40% of the population in Baltimore County. More than half of drivers pulled over and arrested in Baltimore County in 2021 were Black, despite making up less than 1/3 of the population. A strong police accountability board matters because Baltimore County police are not held accountable. County police shot 6 people between January and April of 2017, but no charges were filed against any of the involved officers. And since 2017, only 11% of citizen complaints against Baltimore County police were upheld, and only 4% of citizen complaints of excessive force were upheld. So to summarize, The Baltimore County government failed to share information about the police accountability bill in a timely manner. They rushed the timeline to deny residents opportunity to participate. They held closed-door meetings with the FOP that influenced the bill and the amendments to the bill to protect law enforcement, not residents of color who are brutalized and targeted by law enforcement. It will be hard to have faith in a police accountability process created in this manner. Thank you.
Thank you for that breakdown, Erica. The coalition and county residents have faced many roadblocks during this process, as Erica has mentioned, and our coalition is clear on our demands. A strong police accountability board will include independent legal counsel, investigatory powers for the PAB. Community members who have been disproportionately targeted by law enforcement will be properly represented on the PAB, including community members who have had previous convictions. And Leanna will finish off the demands.
Lorena, can you please continue with those demands?
Yes. PAB members must not, the PAB member should not include law enforcement, former or a family member of law enforcement. What we should include within the PAB in the membership process is all individuals, regardless of immigration or citizenship status. We will now hear from Lisa Barkin, an attorney and member of the League of Women Voters, on the need for independent counsel.
The Police Accountability Board must be represented by independent counsel, not the county attorney. Under the proposed statute, the Baltimore County Attorney would represent the Police Accountability Board, as well as the Administrative Charging Committee and the trial boards, unless the Police Accountability Board determines there is a conflict of interest. This is not acceptable. The Police Accountability Board, the ACC and the trial board are separate from the police department and make decisions independently of it. The county attorney represents the police department as well as its employees, including police officers. The county attorney cannot represent entities that investigate, charge, and conduct misconduct hearings, and also represent the police department and the police officer who is being investigated and charged with misconduct. This is a patent and unresolvable conflict of interest. Montgomery County recognized this inherent conflict of interest and requires outside independent counsel to represent the PAB and the associated entities. Baltimore County must do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Our next speaker, we're actually going to skip ahead. If I can introduce Naisha, our next speaker will be Naisha. Excluding residents with prior convictions is a punitive measure in an attempt to limit community participation from over-policed communities. This amendment is unconscionable and must be struck from the bill. We'll now hear, I totally apologize. Our next speaker is Naisha McCoy, coalition member and D4 president, excuse me.
D4 resident. My name is Naisha McCoy. I'm a resident of District 4 in Baltimore County. I am going to speak to you about the proposed amendment by the Baltimore County Council members to ban individuals previously convicted of any misdemeanor or felony from serving on the PAB board for 10 years. As an African American, I know people who have served their time and became productive members of their community. This is an attempt to limit community members whose participation is critical, especially individuals from over-policed communities from participating in the process. To make matters worse, Councilman Todd Crandall publicly stated that he wants to further amend the PAB to completely ban individuals with previous convictions from serving on the PAB board. This is egregiously wrong. The constitutionally questionable measure is an attempt to limit community participation over police community, especially given Baltimore County's disproportionately high rate of prosecution and incarceration of Black and brown individuals. This is unconscionable. Excluding returning residents from the PA board says serving your time is not enough punishment. Society's prevailing efforts are to recognize and support returning citizens and return them all their rights of citizenship, as has done with the Voting Rights Act. Not only do the majority of police oversight boards in the U.S. not have this restriction, many boards purposely welcome people who have significant experience with the police, law enforcement, and the criminal justice system, and no other board or commission in Baltimore County includes this restriction. In fact, not even elected officials face this restriction, and the Police Accountability Board should not either.
Thank you so much, Naisha. Excluding residents with prior convictions is a punitive measure in an attempt to limit community participation from over police communities. This amendment is unconscionable, and we must strike it out from the bill. I will now turn it over to Leanna.
Excuse me, to introduce Ryan or to introduce Deborah, because she still needs to be let into the room.
Okay, we will move forward then with Ryan Coleman, president of the Randallstown NAACP chapter. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, coalition members and everyone in the press and everyone coming, looking at our press conference today. You know, as a young 18-year-old boy living in Baltimore County, I had the honor of actually owning a Honda Accord. One of the bad things about owning a Honda Accord back in that time was that it was the #1 stolen car. I was probably pulled over by Baltimore County police, I don't know, 50 or 60 times back when I was a young man. And pretty much it was because I was African American. That is a true, absolutely true story. And I actually forgot how many times I was pulled over. And so Baltimore County has an opportunity to really bring the trust back and be transparent with the public. And one of those ways that they can do that, since Baltimore County is almost over 50% minority, is on the actual board. We must have the representation of the individuals who have kind of spearheaded some of this abuse by the police. And obviously those are people of color. And so we're asking for the board to be at least bare minimum 50% minority to represent the population of Baltimore County. This is a requirement that it must be done. And actually it's an insult that if people of color can serve on a jury, I don't understand why they can't serve on the PAB board. So we're hopeful that the county will do the right thing and to give us a PAB board that is strong and actually fits what the law was made for, and that is to stamp out this discrimination towards people of color. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And now we will check to see if Deborah is in. If not, we can continue with our next speaker, Stephen Waddy, who is a member of the Anne Arundel Coalition for Police Accountability and the NAACP.
Hello, my name is Stephen Waddy, and I'm a member of the Anne Arundel County branch of the NAACP. I work in Baltimore County, and so I'm there quite often, I should say. We are members of the Anne Arundel County branch of the NAACP, is members of the Anne Arundel County Coalition for Police Accountability. The Anne Arundel County Police Accountability Board is facing a series of challenges by law enforcement, the fraternal order police, and elected officials who don't want to see citizen participation in police discipline. And it sounds like Baltimore County is going through the same. The challenges that the Police Accountability Board is facing are fundamental to having a functioning and effective accountability process. The National Coalition or National Association for Civilian Oversight in Law Enforcement states that an effective board ensures its legitimacy by ensuring independence in its membership. An effective board has investigative powers to perform its duties to the greatest degree possible. Some people don't want to have an effective board. They want a board that is just for show. They want a board that allows the police to police themselves. They want a board that allows racists, misogynists, killers, thieves, and insurrectionists to remain hidden and only subject to the types of discipline that protect the thin blue line. They want to spread the myths of law and order to justify bloated police budgets while underfunding the Police Accountability Board. And basically, they want to return to the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. That is why we are here today, to address the membership process and investigatory powers of Police Accountability Board, specifically in Baltimore County. I live in Anne Arundel County, and the Anne Arundel County Council approved their PAB bill on April 18th. Our analysis is that the current law will have a chilling effect on anyone convicted of a crime from even applying. The law in Anne Arundel County states that people who have been convicted of crimes of moral turpitude, which is not clearly defined, should be banned from even applying to be a voting member of the board. Our law in Anne Arundel County does not ban retired law enforcement. The law does not ban the family members of law enforcement, even immediate family members. The law does not ban current or former prosecutors. And that leads us to believe there's a deep hypocrisy. There's a deep hypocrisy in the banning of anyone with a criminal background. Not only does it perpetuate the myth that formerly incarcerated people don't deserve equal rights of citizenship, but it also perpetuates the idea that police can police themselves. We know that's not true. The reason the Maryland Police Accountability Act was even necessary is because for decades under Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights, law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and judges failed to charge officers for the same acts which would carry decades of punishment if committed by regular citizens. We believe that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Under current county law, a retired officer who was suspended by a police trial board for excessive force is more capable of being confirmed for a police accountability board than a civilian who took a probation before judgment for shoplifting as a teenager. These types of inconsistencies will undermine the legitimacy of police accountability boards. The Anne Arundel County bill as introduced did not have any investigatory power for police accountability board. Throughout the debate on the bill, the NAACP, the ACLU, and even members of the House Judiciary Committee that drafted the Maryland Police Accountability Act sought to educate the county executive and the county council as to how the state law was a floor and not a ceiling. The county did have the power to draft a bill with investigatory powers, and the council could add investigative powers as an amendment to the bill, as in Baltimore County should be done. However, in Anne Arundel County, the Office of Law, and most importantly, the county's law enforcement agencies, had come to a prior agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police to ban that type of investigatory power. Testimony from a member of our coalition, Joshua Hatch, spoke directly to this issue when he stated at a March hearing that not only will police not police themselves, but their investigations of themselves will also be questionable, because law enforcement is prone to hiding evidence that would implicate itself in wrongdoing. He stated that if the goal of this law is to rebuild trust between the community and the police, the membership must reflect the people most impacted by police, and they must be given the power and funding to investigate police and hold them accountable. Unfortunately, in Anne Arundel County, these recommendations fell on deaf ears, and the bill was passed without providing PAB investigatory powers. We urge other counties to not follow the example of Anne Arundel County by not explicitly banning returning citizens from participating on police accountability boards, and we urge other counties to incorporate investigatory powers into their police accountability boards. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And next we will have a community member testimony from Baltimore County. Perla Hernandez, a Baltimore City organizer with CASA, will be sharing the testimony of her sister, Deborah Hernandez, and touching on non-citizen PAB membership and access to interpretation. Perla?
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Mi nombre es Perla Hernández, soy community organizer para CASA.
My name is Perla Hernandez and I am the community organizer for CASA.
La tarde de hoy voy a contar el testimonio de mi hermana, que por problemas técnicos, ella está aquí presente, pero no puede hablar, entonces hay un problema técnico ahí.
This afternoon, I'm going to present my sister's story. She's here with us today, but she's having technical issues, so we're going to move forward.
Bueno, el nombre de mi hermana es Deborah Hernández. Ella es miembro de CASA, Baltimore y Maryland Central.
My sister's name is Deborah Hernandez. She is a member of CASA Maryland in Baltimore in Central Maryland.
CASA es la organización de servicios directos y defensa de inmigrantes liderada por miembros más grande en el estado de Maryland y en la región del Atlántico Medio.
CASA is the largest member-led immigrant defense organization in Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic region.
Con miles de miembros que trabajan aquí en el condado de Baltimore.
Thousands of our members work here in Baltimore County.
Ella está aquí hoy elevando la voz de tantos de nuestros miembros del condado de Baltimore.
She's here today to lift many voices of those in Baltimore County.
Que tienen que ser representados por el PAB.
Who have to be represented by the PAB.
Ella quiere discutir dos temas importantes con respecto a la participación comunitaria en la formación del PAB.
You would like to discuss two important topics in relation to the formation of the PAB.
En el condado de Baltimore.
In Baltimore County.
Los criterios de membresía para la PAB y la falta de acceso comunitario a la información sobre este proyecto de ley.
The criteria for a seat on this board and the formation of this bill.
Es bien importante que los miembros de la comunidad inmigrante tengan la capacidad de solicitar un asiento en la PAB.
It's very important that Spanish speakers and folks from the immigrant community are able to take a seat on the PAB.
Los oficiales de policía son responsables de atender a todos los miembros de la comunidad del condado de Baltimore.
Police officers are responsible for attending to the needs of all Baltimore County community members.
Esto independientemente de su estatus migratorio.
Regardless of their immigration status.
Al igual que prohibir a las personas con condenas anteriores.
Same as prohibiting those with prior convictions.
Prohibir a las personas por su estado migratorio también limita a la participación de las comunidades más afectadas por la discriminación y la mala conducta policial.
Prohibiting people based on their immigration status also limits participation, community participation from those most affected by police misconduct and discrimination.
La falta de acceso a esta información con la traducción adecuada es inaceptable.
The lack of access to this information with acceptable or adequate translation services is unacceptable.
Dando las traducciones necesarias mejora la comunicación y crea confianza dentro de la comunidad, mejorando la seguridad pública en general para todos.
Providing the necessary translations improves communication and creates trust and confidence within the community, which improves public safety for everyone.
Voy a contar un poquito de su historia. que ella tuvo con la policía en el año 2012.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story or what happened with her and with the police in 2012.
Ella fue arrestada y detenida por la policía del condado de Baltimore.
She was arrested and detained by Baltimore County Police.
Un oficial la trató mal.
The police officer treated her very badly.
Cortó los cordones de la blusa que ella andaba con tijeras sin motivo justificado.
They cut the lace on her shirt with scissors without any type of justified reason.
Ella sintió que estaba siendo discriminada.
She felt as if she was being discriminated against.
La dejaron por casi 20 horas en la celda, embarazada, esposada de pies y manos.
So they left her in the cell for over 20 hours while she was pregnant. She was handcuffed at her hands and feet.
Y con su ropa rota.
With the clothes that were torn by the police officer.
Durante todo ese tiempo estuve esperando un intérprete que nunca llegó.
And throughout all this time, she was waiting for an interpreter and who never arrived.
No tenía ninguna idea de lo que estaba pasando.
She didn't have any idea what was happening.
Su hija estaba en la escuela y no podía comunicarse con nadie porque no le dieron una llamada telefónica.
Her daughter was in school and she wasn't able to communicate with anyone because they didn't even give her a phone call.
Muchas personas en mi comunidad enfrentan intimidación en incidentes policiales innecesarios.
Many people in my community face police intimidation and unnecessary incidents with the police like this.
Como este, que pueden retrasar o terminar por completo el proceso de inmigración. Esto no debería pasarle a absolutamente nadie.
So incidents like this can end up slowing down or completely stopping the immigration process, and things like this should not happen to anyone.
Es por eso que comparto mi historia, perdón. Es por eso que comparto mi historia.
And for this reason, I share my story.
Para que vean lo necesario.
So that they can see what's necessary.
Que la comunidad inmigrante
That the immigrant community
tenga representación en la Junta de la PAB.
is represented in the PAB.
Esto va a alentar a los miembros de la comunidad a presentar sus testimonios de mala conducta policial.
This will motivate community members to present their testimonies of police misconduct.
Como lo que he visto y he escuchado de muchos miembros de la comunidad en el condado de Baltimore.
Such as those that I've heard and witnessed from community members in Baltimore County.
Gracias.
Thank you. And thank you again, Perla and Deborah, for sharing your stories. I'll pass it over to Lorena.
Thank you so much for that. A lot of powerful testimony today. And again, thank you to all our speakers. And then our next speaker is Roland Patterson, member of the Baltimore County NAACP chapter. Roland, please let us know if you are able to get off mute and share your testimony with us today.
All right, is that better?
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Because of the high caliber of the presentations thus far today, I need to alter what I am going to say, and I need to set aside my membership with the NAACP for purposes of this presentation. I am speaking as an individual and as a citizen, more importantly, of Baltimore County here today. As we know, just yesterday morning, we all learned that the Fraternal Order of Police expressed no confidence in Chief Hyatt. And they set out various due process concerns in support of their position. I have no stake in that contest per se, but I am raising it because she responded by saying this was a distraction. And I'm suggesting that that is what the county council is saying about this bill, that it is a distraction. We have in our county a set of very articulate, very intelligent politicians who populate the county council, but the most of them are conservative. And they are seeking to comply with the Accountability Act and to put this bill forward, but to handcuff it and to restrict it in such a way that it will not have any strength. And I think that this is a disingenuous move, and we need to address it as citizens in this county. We need to vote according to what is being imposed upon us. We can lobby the state legislature, quite frankly, to strengthen what they did in the Accountability Act. We can lobby the legislature to dictate who will be on every county's police accountability board, so that we don't have to have these kinds of disputes and these kinds of quote unquote distractions from the community perspective. As I close, I want to say that it appears that because these boards are a function of state law, that persons who have complaints against police officers for misconduct must go through the Police Accountability Board as a function of the Administrative Procedures Act. Well, if they can't get fair treatment by the police accountability boards, that means that due process is being violated. That means they will have civil lawsuits that might be viable against the county. I look back in preparation for this meeting, in conclusion, to see what happened with the civil lawsuit of Eric Sopp's family, or the estate of Eric Sopp, against Baltimore County. And I saw that the county paid, and I'm not smiling because it's funny, $6.5 million to Eric Sopp, a Euro-American man who was shot on 83 North by the county police with his hands raised on camera. All right. And so this is not a distraction. These are responses to real problems. And I think that if the county council wishes to continue in the way that it is going now, that we have our assignments. And I hope that we will all assume them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Roland. And also thank you for bringing up Eric Sopp and other individuals who have lost their lives to police brutality in Baltimore County. We must continue to say their names and to make sure that the county council, when they're implementing this bill and making sure that the amendments are passing, that they don't center law enforcement, right? That they are thinking of the directly impacted families, the individuals who have lost their lives to police brutality, and making sure that we have a strong police accountability board that will protect the community.
Thank you, Lorraine.
And so with that, the Baltimore County Coalition for Police Accountability is also part of the larger state coalition, Maryland Coalition for Justice and Police Accountability, also known as MCJPA. And we want to share with you the statement the coalition has sent out, sounding the alarm about serious concerns with the proposed regulations by the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission on police accountability boards and administrative charging committees. In response to an MPAA request, the coalition received a draft of regulations written by the MPTSC. The coalition has a number of objections it recently raised in a letter and asked that they be considered before finalizing the regulations and beginning the notice and comment period. We will drop that in the chat for you to have as a resource. And now I will turn it over to Leanna.
So first of all, I'd like to thank and congratulate all of you for being part of this conversation and for taking the necessary steps to hold ourselves and the Baltimore County Council accountable to passing a strong PAB bill with our community recommendations. Just to restate that, those must include independent legal counsel and investigatory powers for the PAB. Community members who have been disproportionately targeted by law enforcement properly be represented on the PAB, including community members who have had previous conviction and individuals regardless of immigration status. And lastly, PAB members must not be law enforcement, no law enforcement whatsoever, former or current, or a family member of a law enforcement officer. And we've also put together an action alert and a toolkit I will drop in the chat. We're asking if y'all can either tweet at your council members or use the phone guide provided in the toolkit to give a call or leave a message to your council members to let them know that you are against any of these amendments that are weakening our police accountability board bill, excuse me, and that you are in support of all of our community recommendations. Tomorrow, May 26th at 10 a.m., the Baltimore County Council plans to vote on Bill 2422, which establishes the Police Accountability Board. We hope that you all tune in. I will also drop a link to that in the chat so that you all can join virtually. At this time, I think that is it. Do we have any panel last remarks? No? Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
I think we'll turn it over to questions now. And if the panelists who are here with us today are able to answer some of that, if not, Leanna and I can also jump in. And so one of the first questions that we have from Taylor is, have you looked at how other Maryland counties are modeling their PABs, and if any other jurisdictions have already established them? So I'll open it up to the panel. If not, I will start, and then if anyone else wants to join in on that.
Say, as Anne Arundel County resident, yes, we have our bill, our police accountability bill, was introduced in early February and approved in April. And so our police accountability board has already been it's being set up right now by the county executive's office. They started that application process in the middle of the bill being debated. So they hadn't even waited for the bill to be completed before they actually started accepting applications. And they're going through the process right now. And we in the Maryland Coalition for Justice and Police Accountability meets bi-weekly, and we do discuss almost every other county's police accountability boards. Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and even sometimes we hear about Charles County, and we definitely hear about what happened in Frederick County as well, because the discussion is clearly statewide. A member of our state delegation from Anne Arundel County is on the House Judiciary Committee. And so, the fact that we have a state delegate who crafted the statewide legislation helps us to understand that. The state senator for Annapolis is one of the members of the Government Operations Committee, which will be approving the Maryland Police Training Standards Commission regulations, which we just discussed. So yes, these are statewide regulations. Yes, we've been focused on counties, almost every county's implementation of the bill, especially counties that do have civil rights advocates. Not every county has an active group of civil rights advocates that can make this, they're under a deep level of oppression, and civil rights advocacy is tamped down by oppressive factors. And so not every county has the ability to organize in the same way as the Baltimore area, DC area metropolitan counties. So people are working and fighting with groups in the NAACP, the ACLU, et cetera, to be able to make sure that we can achieve our goals of having justice for all. But it's not possible everywhere when you have a deep entrenched level of oppressor that is trying to oppose change at every turn. And the other thing I want to say was that our counties, each of our counties may be working on different bills, but the state's attorney for Baltimore County is one of the chief lobbyists for prosecutors. And Scott Schellenberger worked on a bill, or he was advocating at the state level to reduce the accountability measures in this bill that we could use, that other counties could use, that civil rights advocates could use. So Baltimore County in and of itself has a specific role to play with Scott Schellenberger being a major factor in all of the rest of the state's ability to make decisions on what is an investigatory power, who should be on the board, how much power these police accountability boards should pay, et cetera.
Thank you so much for that, Stephen. And thank you for bringing up what has happened in Anne Arundel County and some details on what has occurred in other counties as well. And I'm glad you brought up Frederick. Frederick has passed their PAB bill. They're going through their membership process now. So their application, like their open application process, I believe closed on Friday. And so now they'll be going through the selection process. They do have an amendment where they have one seat for an individual of immigrant descent. And we have, I think, another seat for an individual that identifies as Black, African-American. And so, as Stephen had mentioned, different counties have included different amendments within their police accountability bill. But some of that's a positive that we've seen. And again, that's the floor, right? Just having one seat to represent a specific community is not something that we would consider breaking the ceiling in any way. And so we have to do much better, right? Another positive that we've seen in other counties in Prince George's County that is still going through the process at the moment has included independent counsel. And that is something that we are pushing for within Baltimore County. Another county who has done this is Montgomery County. And so we're seeing some positives within the amendments because we want to make sure that the police accountability boards have independent representation. So there's no built-in conflict within that, and that they have the powers necessary and the funding necessary to do their job and to make sure that they're doing the reports and they're going through the different investigations. But I will open it up for anyone else on the panel if they want to answer this question. And I encourage folks who are on this press conference to look through the chat. And we have posted the action alert. We have also posted the MCJPA statement as well. And I see Roland's hand, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I wanted to say that I have in the past done work with Baltimore City in their accountability board, Citizens Review Board is what they call it. And in particular, I wanted to point out that there was a lawsuit that was pressed by the Citizens Review Board against the city because the mayor at that time, Catherine Pugh, insisted on the city solicitor representing the Citizens Review Board. And this represents the decadence and the depth of backwardness that can occur if we don't address these issues in the way that we're seeking. And it is apparent that the county is seeking to resurrect the kind of unnecessary debacle that I'm describing that happened in the city somewhere around 016, 017. And so, this is not hypothetical. In the city, they went to court to undo this for the obvious reason, for the same reasons that all of you have said. And I just wanted to point that fact out. Thank you, Lorena.
Thank you so much, Roland. And thank you to the rest of our panelists who were here with us today, and for all the viewers and all the individuals that tuned in. I'm going to drop again the different links that we have mentioned. That includes the MCJPA statement, the action alert for Baltimore County, the Baltimore County toolkit, and also the hearing information for tomorrow. And again, the hearing is at 10 a.m. and it's the final vote. So there will not be an opportunity for commentary, but we can continue to reach out to the council from now until 10 a.m. and urge them to pass a police accountability bill that has the recommendations of the coalition. And you can also be there in person and just make your presence known as well. Thank you all so much for being with us today. And I see no further questions, but we will just stay on the line. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all, and I just wanted to put my condolences out there to everybody in Texas for what happened yesterday. It was just horrible to hear about it, and I hope that we can gain a sense of community and reform in the aftermath of that horrible tragedy. And I know everybody else here feels the same. And